And
They
I
should
knew
have
a
looked
bit
at it.
about her. I knew how she grew up. I knew that she kind of was one of these people. What tends to be the case is that when you grow up with everything, you create things out of nothing because you're looking for struggle in your life because it's satire, right? He's arguing that, satire, and satire is protected speech, and that when he assumed this nice pool character, oh, well, you got hurt feelings, but it does not rise to an actual defamation.
Blake Lively is said to be facing a storm of pressure after news broke that Candace Owens has filed a massive $100 million lawsuit against her. According to reports, Owens claims to possess strong evidence suggesting that Blake may have misrepresented key facts and influenced business dealings behind the scenes, all while presenting a polished, friendly image to the public. Sources close to the matter describe this as one of the most serious legal hurdles of Blake's career. Behind the curtain, she's reportedly working tirelessly to contain the damage, knowing that the outcome could have lasting consequences for both her reputation and her future in the industry.
What kind of a monster even goes through with this CRD filing and doesn't include the proper context of these things? Like, he showed me a pornographic video on the phone.
As Candace Owens continues to present what she claims is damning evidence, the polished image Blake Lively has spent years building is starting to crack. Allegations paint her as strategic, controlling, and unwavering in pursuit of her goals, very different from the approachable persona fans have admired for so long. Should Owens prevail in court, the repercussions could be nearly impossible for Blake to sidestep. The public response has been swift and unforgiving. Longtime supporters have taken to social media to vent their outrage, saying they feel misled and deeply disappointed. The online backlash shows no signs of slowing, with many insisting this controversy has pulled back the curtain on who Blake truly is, far from the wholesome reputation that once defined her career.
I would not have said, quote unquote, hurt feelings and saying, like, they're basically bullying him again in the lawsuit. And I'm going, guys.
Viewers are now casting Blake Lively as the central villain in this escalating drama, demanding a public acknowledgement and even a direct apology. Many believe only a statement along the lines of "I misled people and I was wrong" would begin to repair the damage. Critics say she unraveled almost immediately after the lawsuit was filed, and instead of showing accountability, she's chosen to push back by preparing her own legal counterattack. Reports indicate Blake is in a state of panic, with Candace Owens' case shining a harsh spotlight on behavior described as self-centered and dismissive. What began as a single filing has now spiraled into a chaotic standoff, one that appears increasingly difficult for Blake to control.
If they lose in the real court, obviously they're going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars that are at stake, but also in the court of public opinion, hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake. And so this filing to dismiss is essentially him saying, like, nah, boo-boo, I'm a defamation.
Attention is now turning toward Ryan Reynolds, with speculation that he too could soon face heightened defamation claims. Insiders suggest his legal footing is weakening, leaving both him and Blake Lively in a vulnerable position as the case intensifies. Meanwhile, Blake's public image is unraveling at lightning speed. A star once regarded as untouchable in Hollywood is watching her reputation collapse in plain view. For years, she carried herself with undeniable confidence, projecting influence, surrounding herself with a loyal inner circle, and appearing as though the industry bent to her presence. Now, that aura of control is slipping away. March 2025 delivered a blow like no other, striking her career and personal brand with the force of a collision, dismantling the empire she worked so carefully to construct.
On my show, totally understandable legal maneuver. Of course, you're going to try to get your clients dismissed from the lawsuit. So we're seeing that from Leslie Sloan. We're seeing that.
As the case progressed, a new picture began to emerge, one that cast Blake Lively as the driving force behind the chaos. The sequence of events only intensified the scrutiny. First came Justin Bolden's counter-lawsuit, which sent shockwaves through the legal conversation. Soon after, attorney Brian Friedman released a staggering 170 pages of text messages and supporting evidence online, giving fuel to suspicions that had already started growing when the Times first questioned Blake's polished nice girl reputation. For many fans, the cracks were becoming impossible to ignore. Comparisons to Taylor Swift's famously guarded image only deepened the sense of doubt. By contrast, Bolden's consistent online presence, marked by authenticity and kindness, made it increasingly difficult for the public to accept him as the antagonist. In the end, it was Candace Owens who reached her limit. She accused Blake of calculated manipulation and took her fight into the open with a lawsuit that was loud, public, and impossible to push aside.
I would not have said, quote unquote, hurt feelings and saying like they're basically bullying him again in the lawsuit. And I'm going, guys, that's not good. Don't do that. Like, this is not a great way to argue, especially because they've got you on the.
Oh, no. Blake roared back, flipping Hollywood's script upside down. For years, she seemed convinced she could control any storyline, flashing that practice smile on the red carpet while secretly pulling strings behind the scenes. Raised with privilege, Blake may have believed she could stir up drama whenever boredom struck, always assured she'd get her way. But now, with Candace Owens coming after her through the courts, reality has hit hard. Reports claim Blake spiraled. Screaming, crying, throwing things, and lashing out like a spoiled star, suddenly forced to confront the truth. She's not the universe's center.
There's 5 other claims. He's got extortion, he's got false light, and everything immediately falls apart there.
When attorney Brian Friedman released what he described as undeniable proof, it marked a breaking point. The carefully curated world Blake Lively had spent years constructing began to collapse under its own weight. For so long, she was seen as the picture-perfect Hollywood figure, a devoted mother, a loyal wife, and a seemingly flawless star. But once Candace Owens walked into court armed with hard evidence, that polished illusion started to unravel. The fallout has been nothing short of explosive, and to some, even darkly ironic. The chaos has reached beyond gossip headlines and straight into Hollywood's financial lifeblood. Multimillion-dollar deals now hang in the balance, legal costs are climbing by the day, and reputations once thought untouchable are suddenly in jeopardy. Industry insiders say trust in these high-profile names is evaporating at record speed. All of it, they argue, stems from Blake's inability to temper her emotions or loosen her grip on absolute control. From film studios to PR firms, no corner of the entertainment world has been left untouched by the storm now surrounding her.
Basically saying, well, I didn't receive any money. And it's like, buddy, extortion is a lot bigger than that. You made threats to go public with harassment.
The public is consuming this scandal like it's the most addictive reality series of the year, especially given how many fans were already skeptical of Blake Lively to begin with. Stepping into the chaos is her so-called knight in shining armor, Ryan Reynolds, who has been scrambling to distance himself from Justin Bolden's lawsuit. Observers liken his attempt to a magician fumbling a trick, clumsy and impossible to hide. By March 2025, Ryan was petitioning the court to excuse him from the case, insisting he played no role other than that of a supportive husband caught in the fallout of his wife's decisions. But critics say that narrative doesn't hold up. Reports point to Ryan himself as an active participant, allegedly spreading damaging rumors and even branding Baldon a harasser at Hollywood gatherings. That contradiction is now fueling even more skepticism, leaving both Ryan and Blake entangled in a legal mess that shows no sign of quieting down.
They have definitely met, I would say, the preliminary standard to go.
In court, Ryan Reynolds attempted to downplay his role, telling the judge his remarks were nothing more than light-hearted opinion or comedy. But legal experts are quick to point out that calling someone a harasser in front of the press is far from a harmless joke. It carries weight, and it carries consequences. With accusations ranging from coercion to false light and more, Ryan's defense is looking increasingly fragile. Observers note it's difficult to imagine a judge allowing him to simply walk away unscathed. His attempt to brush off extortion allegations followed the same pattern, claiming he couldn't be guilty because he never pocketed any money. Yet critics were quick to highlight the flaw in that reasoning. Extortion doesn't always revolve around financial gain. The real danger lies in the threats, the intimidation, and the pressure applied behind the scenes. And on that front, Ryan may find himself facing questions far tougher than he anticipated.
My guess is when we get to that discovery, there's going to be a lot stronger defamation.
Newly leaked evidence points to Ryan Reynolds allegedly threatening to circulate false claims in a bid to help Blake Lively secure control over a joint project. The revelation has ignited a frenzy online, with fans zeroing in on a series of private text exchanges between Ryan and his longtime friend Hugh Jackman, messages he now appears desperate to keep under wraps. Speculation is running wild. Commentators are asking just how far Ryan may have gone in venting about Justin Baldon behind the scenes, and what damaging remarks could surface if those conversations ever see the light of day. The uncertainty is fueling even more intrigue, leaving many to wonder whether the texts will become the next bombshell in a scandal that already shows no signs of slowing. Legal experts are now predicting that the defamation case against Ryan Reynolds could erupt into something far bigger, particularly if his private messages are admitted as evidence. Attorney Brian Friedman, who is spearheading the case, isn't pulling any punches, accusing Ryan of deliberately working to derail Justin Bolden's career and laying out his arguments with the precision of a seasoned courtroom tactician. If the proceedings extend to include depositions from figures like Hugh Jackman, the result could be an avalanche of legal costs, endless scheduling battles, and even more unwanted publicity. Yet despite the mounting pressure on Ryan, the story's spotlight keeps circling back to Blake Lively. Online, her reputation is unraveling at full speed. Once seen as a Hollywood darling, she's now being portrayed by fans as a spoiled, entitled figure whose carefully maintained facade has finally collapsed under the weight of scandal.
Imagine the text messages between him and Hugh Jackman as they're putting together all of these scenes. I mean,
Candace Owens's court filings leave little room for ambiguity, portraying Blake Lively as a figure who thrives in privilege while leaving disorder behind her. The documents depict a star who, despite her glamorous career and close-knit circle of Hollywood elites, allegedly never hesitated to manipulate circumstances to her advantage. According to Owens, Blake orchestrated a calculated campaign designed to shatter reputations and derail Liv's the moment she felt her influence slipping. It's a portrayal that stands in stark contrast to the polished, smiling persona she presents on red carpets and talk shows. Legal observers say this stark divide between public image and alleged private actions could prove to be the most damaging element of all, an exposure of a darker side that could haunt her career long after the courtroom battle ends.
Losing here, and these people have to be furious. I mean, they're all going to have to pay for the
Candace Owens pulled no punches, casting Blake Lively as an insecure instigator who feeds off controversy and thrives in chaos. In her lawsuit, Owens alleges that Blake went beyond private disputes, deliberately weaponizing the media to attack her opponents. One of the most striking claims centers on a high-profile New York Times feature, which Blake reportedly used as a platform to craft her own version of events. According to the filings, key details were left out while Justin Baldoni was painted as the villain of the story, an intentional framing that Owens argues reveals just how far Blake was willing to go to control the narrative. Legal insiders say these allegations could carry serious weight, as they strike at the credibility of Blake's public image and her relationship with the press.